Hey cats, it's Ed Adizero here. Time to match up the magic midsole foam combo of the Adidas Adizero Adios 7 up against the rest. I'm going to compare this one up against some similarly priced models, but also some other shoes that have similar performance traits. Let's get to it, people. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, help us to continue growing by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below for notifications when I launch the new stuff for you. It helps us out a whole bundle as well if you give this video a thumbs up like, but also share it with your running buddies. Merci beaucoup. So I have for you today some comparisons against the Adizero Adios 7. There's so many shoes you can compare this one against. I think it fits into loads of different categories. So let's not waste any more time. First shoe I want to compare it up against today is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. Now a much wider outsole and midsole surface area in the Speed 3. It's actually much wider in terms of that midfoot and heel surface area, and you need that as well. The Speed 3 is a much more compressive shoe than the Adios 7. Perhaps in all but the mid to forefoot section of the Adios 7 where you've got that Light Strike Pro. I do feel most runners will prefer the underfoot feel of the Endorphin Speed 3. It's certainly the more forgiving of the two shoes with that P-back space Power Run PB midsole. Those after a more traditional feel perhaps will enjoy the Adios 7. I think this one is probably something that you're going to want to run faster miles in, or at least for most people. For me, I kind of like it for anything, but it can even work as a track shoe, I suppose. It's got the traction. That was pretty bad. Both shoes certainly present a more propulsive feel to the runner. They feel nimble. Expressive, perhaps, is one way you could put it. Similar weights in both pairs. I certainly see these two being very popular with runners who have mixed training regimes coming up, where you've got lots of easy miles, some faster paced tempo work, or some intervals and repeats. Both of these shoes can handle those really well. I've been doing a lot of that recently, easy running interspersed with some faster paced bursts. Just is quite exhilarating running quickly again. I've managed to remove the past problems I had back last year. They seem to be behind me now. I can even see a dog and I'm not worried. Long-time viewers will know what I'm talking about. Certainly the Speed 3 feels more like the super shoe of these two, but I think fans of a lower stack, lower profile shoe will probably want to opt for the Adios 7. It's a little bit firmer with that Light Strike material in the heel. Certainly feels a little bit more stable to me. Neither of these feel unstable, I have to say that, but the Adidas shoe just is ultimately more stable than the very squashy and compressive stuff we've got here in the Speed 3. There's quite a difference in price as well between these two. The Speed 3 coming in at 165 Earth credits here in the UK. I think I picked this one up with a deal. It was below £100, I think, so there's a massive gulf there, isn't there? I think if I had to pick only one of these two shoes, it would have to be the Adios 7. It just does everything I want it to do, and it feels great. This one smells better, though, for what it's worth. It's a close call, though. Very close call on this one. How does it hold up against the more expensive Takumi Sen 8? Every time I put this shoe in hand, it reminds me of a race that I ran in it, and it was amazing. It performed brilliantly, even on a trail. Quite how it did that, I don't know, but it did. Now, quite the difference in the upper between the Sen 8 and the Adios 7. This one feels a little bit more refined. There's not quite so much of the upper as well. Parts of it are practically see-through. The Cellar mesh material that they've used is quite something. That said, I think this version of the Adios is actually a little bit closer to the Sen 8. Got this almost sort of stocking-like mesh they've used on the side here. Does make the shoe feel a little bit seductive. Well, it does to me anyway, but then again, I'm a bit of a shoe weirdo. I think it's a less natural feel in the Sen. I think if you're looking for a more traditional sort of feeling shoe, then the Adios 7 might be for you. Although the suede hits that we've got here in the front of the shoe do add on a little bit of extra weight in the Adios 7 over the Sen. I think between the Sen 8 and the Adios 7, we've got about 45 grams of difference, so it does make it more of a race option, I suppose. Outsoles here are probably the main difference between the two shoes. We've got those rubber slats here here in the midfoot and back in the heel on the Adios 7, but there's nowhere for those rocks to hide here in the Sen 8. You got that smooth rubber that we found on the bottom of the Adios Pro series, and also the slats here, but that are much thinner and more sticky, that we found on the Prime X. I did find that the Sen 8 took a little bit of time to break in. I didn't find that with the Adios 7, it was pretty good out of the box. Though I think the lower drop that we have in the Sen 8 may take a little bit of time for some people to get used to. I think a few people were initially put off by the shoe because it didn't have that same aggressive drop as we found in Adidas shoes over the previous years. I think with these two, that the Adios 7 and the Sen 8 actually complement each other really well. I find it very hard to actually pick one over the other. I think if you wanted the perfect training partner to the Sen 8, then pick up the Adios 7. Though if you had to have only one, I think it's worth spending the extra cash and picking up the Sen 8. It was very durable and a really exciting propulsive ride. So I think it just edges it this time around in terms of performance if you just want one. If you're enjoying the content and you want to help support the channel on a more ad hoc basis, remember you can give us a super thanks, that icon just below. I think it's like a heart with a dollar sign. It really does help out the channel to continue to grow. How about up against the Streakfly this time? This is really light. I forgot just how little of it there is. The Nike comes in a slightly higher price than the Adios 7. There's quite a weight difference between the two. I think it's about 65 grams total. That said, I think there are some things missing from this shoe that give the Adios 7 a bit of an advantage over it. I found the upper on the Streakfly to be a bit lacking really. It's very loose compared to the more narrow fitting upper we found on the Adios 7. Quite similar stack height though between the two shoes, amazingly. The Adios 7 certainly got more rigidity than this one. There's none whatsoever in the Streakfly. I found that one limited its actual propulsive abilities. Yeah, it was a nice sort of impact protection type shoe, but when it came to running fast I just felt that it wasn't really doing anything for me. I think the Adios 7 with that added torsion plate here really did help to make it a more propulsive shoe than the Streakfly. It's strange how just adding one element to a certain foam can really improve its properties, sort of gets the best out of it I suppose. I just found the Streakfly lacked any very specific use case. It kind of did everything okay, but it didn't really stand out, and I can't really see anybody racing in it. I could see people racing in this shoe. Absolutely. I could see people using it on the track as well. I just think for less money this is a far more versatile shoe than the Streakfly, and it fulfills some of the jobs that it can do, but does it better. I mean, at a push you could race a half marathon in this, no problem. This has got the performance packed in. It might not be as light or perhaps nimble, but it certainly felt more propulsive. The Streakfly just felt like half an invincible run to me, and I already had one of those. So again, if I had to have one of these two for the desert island of running, it would have to be the Adios 7. Last one up today, the riveting New Balance Fuelcell Rebel 2. There it is, the famous rivet. Again, we have a very compressive midsole material here in the Fuelcell Rebel 2. Just getting it in hand, I've forgotten just how compressive and squashy Fuelcell is. It is soft, and again it lacks that stabilizing plate that a lot of people perhaps hoped would be included, or at least a part plate maybe. It again makes this shoe more flexible than the Adios 7. We've got a little bit more midsole and outsole surface area here underfoot, and it's needed with that really compressive and soft foam. Weight's pretty close on these two. It's within a few grams in my UK size 11.5. I find both shoes actually come up a little short, so that's why I half sized up on this model and the Adidas. Though with that very soft foam, I did find that you can use the Rebel 2 on a wider range of runs. Lots of variety here, although the Rebel 2 and the Adios 7 are shoes that do enjoy going quite fast. I think it's a little bit down to the runner on this comparison. If you like that wider and higher stacked super shoe feel, then you're probably going to opt for the Rebel 2 over the Adios 7. The Adidas just feels like a much more traditional running shoe offering, just a more responsive shoe underfoot. Kind of feels like you're in control of what's going on a little bit more. Quite what the Rebel 3 will bring to the table, I do not know. Maybe they'll boost up the midsole stack in some way. I mean, the midsole stacks can only go so far now, can't they, before they are unusable, I suppose. You need some stabilizing elements in there, as proved by the Prime X. Don't think anyone would want to run in a Light Strike Pro shoe that featured no stabilizing parts whatsoever. It would just be a complete disaster. Again, if I had to pick one of these two, it would probably be the Adios 7. Just that little bit cheaper, and it just covers more bases for me. What do you think of the comparisons today, guys, against these four? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. 'Tis musical interlude time. Today, something nice and relaxing for you from Nick Drake, 5 Leaves Left. My two favourites from this album are Way to Blue and Day Is Done. There's some fantastic music on this album. Nick Drake, at the time, was sorely underrated. Some fantastic guitar playing on Day Is Done as well. There's loads of myths surrounding Nick Drake and how he learnt to play the guitar. Apparently while he was at university, someone gave him a couple of lessons or something, and then they saw him like 2 or 3 weeks later and he was already a better guitarist than that person. He just used to sit in a room for ages, apparently, playing and perfecting his finger style. Do go and check out any of Nick Drake's material if you haven't done so already. Probably not the greatest running music. Maybe for a long run it could be ideal to keep you nice and calm, and perhaps if you're running out there in the countryside, attach you with nature a little bit more. Today though, we're talking 5 Leaves Left by Nick Drake. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with me to the end of today's video. Always appreciated. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications. Also give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you